What was the moment for you? I know you sort of touched upon it there, but what was the thought in that moment which said to you, something's got to change? Because the definition of insanity is repeating the same thing over and over with the same results. So where was that?
Oh yeah, gosh, there were a number of them that worked on different bits of my psyche, you could say. One was, for example, was trying to implement a carbon neutrality project on a fairly modest piece of infrastructure in Melbourne. And when I could see the administrative and data verification burden that was actually reasonably required to make that claim, that sort of helped me look at that and go, that's not going to scale up. um, that's too much work for too little difference. To rely on stuff like that's not going to scale up. Another very big one was being in charge of the spreadsheet for the greenhouse gas emissions of this desalination plant, and looking at it and then going, okay, I'm turning over and looking at the scale of the wind or the solar that we were looking at that time, and just feeling quite gobsmacked by the scale of the difference there. One single new piece of infrastructure was going to require so much new renewable energy just to break even on an emissions basis. And when I was looking at the adaptation, realizing, we're going to need to desalinate in Australia. It's coming. So it can't work that way. And then there was a very interesting moment, which was more of a behavioral moment actually, where I was probably pretty close to changing my position on nuclear power, which is probably the core of my ecomonism, was centered on the nuclear power issue. And I went to a debate at Adelaide University with Barry Brook, who went on to become my PhD supervisor and friend and mentor. A gentleman called Tom Blees from the United States, who wrote a tremendous book called Prescription for the Planet. And a couple of, on the opposing side, an academic called Mark Diesendorf and an activist called David Noonan. And I'd been following Barry's work very carefully, and I'd been following the climate science work very carefully, and I'd become very familiar with the rhetorical zigzags that people who wish to criticize climate science would take. So I'd become quite a good detective on going, no, hang on, you're not playing straight with this here. And then I saw the anti-nuclear activist replicate that exact behavior in the forum. I saw a professor, which was Barry, and a very humble, very nice guy, Tom, playing a very straight bat with an audience. And then I saw a clear cherry pick piece of behavior over here. And it was a moment of identity where I went, I don't want to identify with that anymore. If that's what that is, I don't like it and I reject it. And so, it's why I'm always very keen for people who are passionate about the same causes that I am. I ask them to always check their behavior very, very carefully, because if we're interested in the task of persuasion, we must be appealing. We must look like people that you would want to stand next to. So our conduct is critical. And seeing that example writ large, that really got me quite over the line. And then actually the other thing was that night was learning about the integral fast reactor and fast breeder reactors and realizing that we could recycle all the nuclear waste. So I thought maybe I might sort of step over the line and change my mind. Instead, I sort of triple jumped over it, just went, oh my God, I'm so pro-nuclear now. Because, I didn't realize this was available. And so that just was quite a pivot on the mindset. But, people often ask for the lightning bolt moment. It's not quite like that, but there are a number of memorable moments along the way, which is something else that's worth keeping in mind if we're dealing with anybody. Give them time. It's going to be an accumulation of experiences and knowledges that leads to a change of position, not a magic moment.